On today's episode of Future Says, we have Vijay Kempuraj, the digital twin lead at Ford. He has over 12 years' experience in the automotive domain, utilising computer-aided design, computer-aided engineering, and data analytics technology. He's currently leading Ford's agile software engineering team to deliver vehicle health products and services, utilising connected devices and digital twins. Hello and welcome to Future Says, Vijay. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Hi, Sian. Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.
So Vijay, to kick things off then, can you explain how you've gone from a mechanical engineering background to now being the lead digital twin at Ford?
Perfect. Thanks, Sian. That's a interesting path. I started my career in 2010 in Ford as a digital tools and innovation engineer, specifically focusing on managing the CAD related data. So I was so excited to work with the designing or drafting of the entire vehicle, seeing in one place. As I came into the industry, it's not only about the designing of the vehicle. There are huge team, huge set of IT and technologies are involved in terms of managing the CAD related information, the designing related information. So that excited me to learn, focus more on the IT side of the technology side of the business rather than most of the designing kind of a thing. And from there, I started looking at the PLM domain, the product lifecycle domain. So far, my focus was only on managing the bill of materials, the CAD data, or the computer-aided engineering, the CA analysis data. And then my focus was slightly moved into the managing the manufacturing engineering data. So once the product is designed, how that product can be industrialized. So what are all the manufacturing facilities are needed, what kind of a factory setup is needed, how many machineries are needed. So that is again the bigger set of the world, and creating the digital markup. For example, a product vehicle is designed. Now how can I validate whether that vehicle can be manufactured in a facility A? And if yes, can the same line be used for manufacturing a vehicle B? Okay, so that kind of a lot of if simulations, what if simulations kind of a thing needs to be validated, and that accumulated a lot of data, and that is where I got an opportunity to digitize the entire factory. That is where I got an opportunity to work on all the latest and greatest technologies like the augmented reality, the virtual reality, then the predictive maintenance, such kinds of things. We created all this factory data, but still that is kind of a three-dimensional though, but it is not a fully immersive. So before even the facility was arise, for a greenfield projects, if we wanted to do ergo kind of a simulation, we wanted to bring the operators into the lab, and we can create an 3D environment of a line and stations so that they can pick the parts and try to assemble and see whether they have any ergo issues, reachability, all those stuff. We will be able to check all in one place. And then I kind of moved into the mobility area, the digital product. So far, all my responsibility were only to the internal customers, but this digital products are for external customers. So once the vehicle is launched, manufactured and launched, and how the customer, as a customer, I can monitor the health of the vehicle. How can I know when my vehicle needs a maintenance, and how can I increase the customer experience of the services? So for example, if I need to schedule maintenance for my vehicle, so how can I schedule that maintenance without disrupting my day-to-day activities? Okay, so that is the kind of place that I was working on, providing a preemptive kind of an alerts to the customers. Hey, your vehicle has this issue, and please go get it serviced in next 2 days. And automatically a service will be scheduled on behalf of you based on that health status of the vehicle, and then all the parts related to that service will be available before you reach to the maintenance places. So that is the kind of digital products that I was responsible for. And now recent role will be on digital enterprise twin, which is like creating an enterprise level twin for entire processes of enterprise.
Wow, sounds like you're very busy, Vijay. You're working on a lot of different projects. A really interesting career trajectory there. But just at the end there, you mentioned the digital enterprise twin. What I've seen in the market is a lot of reticence and reluctance to define a digital twin because it is so poorly defined, or because the definition is so poorly agreed upon. For you, what actually is the definition of a digital twin?
So I kind of refer most of these things from Michael Greaves. So I go by his definitions. But in my responsibility, it is not only about the digital twin of any physical asset. Even sometimes the enterprise level, the processes kind of a thing. Also, we would like to create a digital representation. For example, the logistics process, or example, the supply chain process, for example, the procurement process. So having the digital twin at an enterprise level for these kinds of process related objects as in a digital world is also a digital twin. That's how it's evolving. So when I say the recent area that I am working on is a kind of the process mining. That's what we were working on. So in some of the areas, for example, if we wanted to improve the operating cost of a particular process, let's say the supply chain process, then first we need to have the visibility of what is the current process. So in that, the problem is nowadays the enterprise ecosystem is not that simple. It is not a small startup. It is the bigger organization are there for more number of years. So there will be an n number of systems, and going and sitting with individual IT people and understanding what each of the IT systems are doing, the step-by-step process and understanding and manually mapping. It's a very humongous task. So what we need to do is that we are using the process mining concepts of collecting the event logs of all the enterprise IT systems and converging that into one place and applying a process mining algorithms like alpha miner, fuzzy miner kind of algorithms, and it will give us the process maps. By seeing that process discovery, the automatic process discovery, we will get an overview of what is our current process, where the bottlenecks are, and where the inefficiency are associated, what are all the deviated steps, and then from there we can identify the areas for improvement and we can eliminate those inefficiency areas.
Amazing. So as you said yourself, Vijay, it's a humongous task. It's not something that can be achieved in a couple of weeks. But is there quick wins, key milestones that you hope to achieve on that journey?
Yes, so rather than doing at an enterprise level, so we are attacking kind of an process by process. Maybe the high inefficient processes might be considered, and collecting the data, the event data or the logs from only those particular systems, rather than going and boiling the ocean of an entire enterprises, maybe 1,000+ applications. Let's target 1 or 2 applications, collect those data. Let's say only the supply chain or any procurement or kind of any PD manufacturing process, and only 2 or 3 systems, and do the process discovery for those systems. And see how much value we can gain out of it. And once the inefficiencies are identified, and we will see how we can implement those identified inefficiencies. How can we implement that the new processes for those inefficient areas?
So Vijay, you said throughout your career at Ford, which I think is about 12 years or so now, you've been in many different fields. You're speaking about the digital enterprise twin. Do you also get involved, or is there a separate team that involves digital twins of physical assets then? And how does that work?
Yes. So now, historically, when the digital twin was coined, it was like digital twin of an entire thing. So we call it as digital twin a single word, but now we are gaining more traction and more clarity out of it. And now the digital twin of a product, a digital twin of a vehicle, and then the logistics digital twin. We are getting closer to those kinds of things. So for a physical thing, so I would give some of the examples where we are applying is. Um, so like this software, the digital native companies, how all the software products are being monitored and improvised the same way for vehicles. We will be able to monitor how each of the features inside a vehicle are being used. For example, as a design engineer, historically, if I need to decide whether I need to add one feature, for example, a panoramic roof, or example, providing a CD player. Maybe nowadays many people are using mostly the streaming applications inside the car, but it's still marketing team says the CD player is needed in a vehicle. So as a design engineer, we don't have the data backed up solution. But nowadays, with the connected car kind of a thing, we'll be able to monitor each and every activity of an users, how each of the features inside the vehicle are being utilized by the users, and we will come to know whether that feature is really needed or not needed. For example, the CD player case, when I quote, so as a design engineer, we'll be able to know whether that feature is being effectively used by most of the users or it is unused. Features inside a vehicle. So those, I mean, it's one example, but that kind of a lot of decisions we will be able to take for each of the features inside a vehicle and design it in a better way. And even what level of threshold we need to give. So, for example, if I have the capacity X to Y, and do we need to provide that entire capacity of that feature, or X to some X.5 is enough. Okay, so that is the kind of value we are getting from these kinds of physical twins, and there are multiple teams, as I said, are doing focused digital twins. Specific to vehicle, or vehicle specific to factory. So these are all associated with the physical twins.
Okay, amazing. So again, for people watching that are much earlier in their adoption life cycle, that are still just considering digital twins, where to maybe deploy them first and foremost, do you have advice, Vijay, on where they should start, what they should focus on from day one?
Okay, so for those kinds of digital twin, the lesson learned thing is some of the times we need to be very focused on the use cases. So that's what I would kind of give two approaches. Both should go hand in hand. That is something like the bottom-up approach and then the top-down approach. So the top-down is something you should have a very clear strategic priority of what is our current state we are in and where we wanted to reach in next 5 years of time. And from that strategic priority, we need to boil down to the next level of activities, like what projects, what programs, what portfolios or initiatives we need to trigger in terms of digital initiatives. Because the problem is when we started, everyone wants to do the new digital initiatives on this area. But if all these the pockets of digital activities are not converging in one place, then it's very difficult to realize the big vision of achieving the digital twin for an enterprise. Okay, so it should be kind of a top-down approach. The strategy should be defined, and there should be a proper PMO kind of a governance process of intaking what initiatives are aligned with our strategic priority, what should be done and what should not be done, because there will be a lot of interest in bringing in a lot of new digital initiatives, but we have a very limited resources in terms of doing that activity, and each of these activities should have a value associated to it. And the third thing is the technology maturity. For example, the digital twin is something that needed a kind of a visualization, for which we are adapting an AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, and the technology that we are picking up also needs to be evaluated whether it is already in a matured state or it is very at an initial state. So how scalable is this? So such kind of an technology maturity also we need to evaluate while starting, because in my viewpoint, there is a lot with respect to, if we need to realize the digital twin, multiple technologies should aggregate together. So we should be very cognizant in picking which technology we are going to adapt, because it's not like doing a pilot for one set of groups. So after you generate it, you need to scale it, you need to maintain it, and any changes comes in, you need to quickly bring in the changes in a quick amount of time. So if the technology doesn't mature, you will not be able to achieve that kind of a scalability.
You mentioned value there, that every project that you put forward has to have a value associated with it. I'd like to inquire a bit about that value. What I've read recently from McKinsey was that digital twins have the potential to increase revenue 10%, increase product quality 25%, and accelerate time to market by 50%. It's a big return on investment there. Do you agree with that type of potential, Vijay? Is there any numbers that you could share yourself in terms of success?
Yep, but in a real-time experiences, I'm seeing such kinds of a good amount of benefits we are seeing. But as I mentioned in the previous answer, we should not try to attack, boil the ocean kind of a thing. So that we should concentrate on only the specific areas. For example, you quoted, if we need to improvise the quality, rather than just saying this is my objective of the quality target for an enterprise. So we need to go into the level of a particular product, or for example, even we may drill down and go to the level of a particular manufacturing plant or particular line. So this is my quality target, our current state of quality metric in this line, and I wanted to enhance this quality level from this current state to this X state. So then how can I map the so-called digital twin for this area? So when you set targets, it should be very crystal clear of what we are trying to achieve at a granular level rather than at very enterprise level. So these kinds of projects has a very higher probability of getting successful.
Yeah, so that success criteria is defined up front. What do we want to increase it to, decrease it to, accelerate to? Okay, interesting.
Yes. And if that is missed, definitely that we have seen quite a lot of use cases have not gone to the successful state. We end up in lost in the pilot purgatory state.
Could we open that up a little bit, and what are those challenges? What are the common pitfalls in unsuccessful projects?
Okay. So the challenges in normal digital twin challenges that from my point of view is the kind of culture sometimes playing a vital role. So, for example, when we wanted to do a digital twin, it's not on a very small incremental transformation. It is a humongous, a leapfrog kind of a transformation, completely moving from one like an industrial age kind of a movement to the technology age kind of a movement. So the culture shift should be considered a lot, and it is playing a vital role. So when I say culture, every people, or I mean, for example, if you look at the Gen X, Gen Y, or Gen Z kind of a people, the recent younger generation people, they are already seeing, or they are already well versed with these mobile apps, the digital native applications or data native applications. They've already seen when they are procuring or ordering something in an apps like Amazon app. So they get the delivery instantaneously, and they get to see that lot of recommendations coming up when I buy. The people who bought this this item also bought this item. So that kind of recommendations coming together, and they are well versed with those kinds of things. But some of the people who have not got more exposure to the technologies are also in organizations, and they may be even in a position to take the decision. So we need to first bring alignment of those kinds of people in terms of culture. So on the leadership, alignment should be there, and they should be kind of the sponsor for these kinds of things for the culture shift. And there should be a lot of quick wins in terms of success stories. So we need to create a lot of success stories so that people can view that success stories and can see and can adapt it. So the success, to create that success stories, we should not have always the 5-year, 10-year initiatives. So we should have, as you mentioned, a lot of quick wins which can provide the value in a quick amount of time. So that way we can bring in the culture shift mindset so that everyone will be thinking in that direction. And to bring that, even the culture shift mindset, we even need to provide a lot of enablement trainings kind of a thing, so that it's not only the technology folk from IT side or the analytics side should do all these digital twin initiatives. So as like 50% they are the contributors, the business team also contributing another 50%, because they know the function, they know the use cases. So for them, we need to enable them with the proper right set of tools so that they will quickly scale up and start adapting this thing. So in terms of the usability or in terms of creating the new applications in that arena. So we need to provide that kind of trainings, the data literacy and the enablement tools to quickly scale those business folks or the citizen users also to use the advanced apps. So that is the culture shift. And the another thing is another pitfall that I told you is choosing the technology, right? So I think I already touched upon that. So choosing the very mature right technology at the right point in time is also should be considered very carefully.
So 2 questions off the back of that, Vijay. The first, a quick one. You said not just the 5 to 10 year initiatives, also the quick wins. What time frame do you have for quick wins? In AI POCs, typically we say 6 to 8 weeks. Is it the same for digital twins?
No, I would say the quick wins, when I define it, at least a year, less than a year initiative. So yeah, Perfect. It can be anything. 3 months.
3 months to 1 year. That's great. Okay, so that's good expectations, I think, to set up front. And the second question was, I love what you said. So the team, and I really wanted to ask you about the team. So the team is 50%, let's say, technical, IT or data backgrounds, and 50% business or engineering backgrounds. The 50% that aren't trained in data and this type of new technology, how do you go about it? How do you build their data literacy?
Okay, so in terms of data literacy, so bringing in a lot of enablement teams. So I think this is my view completely. So I'm kind of seeing a trend, the shifting trend patterns that is happening is so gone are the days where we are pocketed as a skill teams, like an IT team sits in as one group, completely doing only the software engineering, software development, and analytics groups who will be doing only the data science related of things, and the marketing and sales and the manufacturing people only doing that kind of an activity. But nowadays the pattern is kind of a shifting, the industry trend is shifting towards having a multi-specialized skills. So bringing all these people as a one product group or as a one team, so that they will work together. So naturally, the people who knows the technology will talk to the people from non-technology background. So the natural learnings will happen when they work as the team. So that is the primary change that I'm seeing, and that can enable the data literacy. Then the another thing is having a kind of an enablement team who are dedicated to have the trainings and doing the common practices. For example, there is some kind of best practices has been done in a marketing and sales, but that has not been shared with the folks in manufacturing or PD, sharing that kind of best practices across the group, so that they will have their thought of viewing what is happening in the other areas also. So that way also we can bring in this data literacy. And moreover, the leadership push also. So leaders just not setting only the strategic objective or high level strategic goals. If they also show that kind of an inspiring mindset kind of a thing. If they also get their hands dirty and learning new things and sharing that things with the employees, that I completed this certification, the new certification in data analytics. So that also will motivate the people to bring in that data literacy.
Yeah. And so you mentioned leadership as well as this sort of enablement. Have you typically seen that the key stakeholder for these projects is the head of data and IT, or more so the head of the business, the supply chain, or the engineering? Or do they work together?
They work together in most of the cases, I told you. So the gone are the days that if we go as a silo, that by functions, it will not work. If we need to scale, I think all these teams should work together.
Okay. So I love the concept of ingredients, Vijay, when making a successful project. I think we've got some good ones already. Leadership, culture, technology, expectations and timelines. I'm not talking about 10 years, talking about 3 to 12 months. Are there any other ingredients you think that make up a successful project? If companies had a checklist, I need to get this and this and this, is there anything else, or is that a good starting point?
I think that is the good starting point. And as I told you, I think the process mining stuff I already explained to you. So when we start this, at least we need to have the kind of, at least the current state of process. What is our current state that we should know? So if we don't know what is our current state, then we just wanted to aspire to go to some new state without knowing what is our current state, it will not work. So we should have the data, good amount of data or enough data to validate what is our current state.
And so as we start to look towards the future then, Vijay, do you have any thoughts on the current adoption of digital twins? Do you think it's somewhere around 10%? Is it 1%? Are we very at the start of this journey? Where do you expect this market to go, let's say, in the next 5 years?
Okay, so again, this is my view. So I feel the digital twin is still someone's vision and promise. It is not available as a complete solution. And again, as I mentioned, the digital twin, when this term was coined, it was like happened in a very broader case, and we are traveling in the V shape. So it was all started with very general term, and now when we gain the clarity, we are going and trying to create the digital twin at a granular level, at a component level, at a process level, and at a machinery level, and then trying to integrate all these things to the system level, right? So it will take time, and at least minimum 5 years of time, in my understanding, is needed to realize that the entire digital twin. But so far, it is available as a vision and promise. But these granular level of digital twin, for example, at a component level or at a process level, should be able to talk to each other. So I'm not still seeing the digital twin from logistics is talking to the digital twin from manufacturing, or digital twin from manufacturing is talking to the as-built digital twin that is in the customer hand. The problem is why they have not gone to that level of integration is because still the digital twin, creation of digital twin at logistics level or at a manufacturing plant level or at a process level is not yet done. So it is like first the city is trying to fix their problem, and then each of the cities will try to connect with the states, and then the states will connect to all the states across in a country level. So like that, now we are trying to build the digital twin at a granular level. And after that, once that is matured and we see the value, and then each of these digital twins should connect or talk to each other. So that time will take at least 5 years from now.
Brilliant answer, Vijay. We're sort of coming to the end now, and we only have so long on these episodes. But for people at home that want to keep on learning, you mentioned Michael Greaves' books. Are there any other resource recommendations that you'd give to our viewers?
Yep. So I kind of hone in on the platforms like podcast, Spotify, and then the Coursera website, learning sites, EDX, NPTEL, and then Udacity. These are all the learning sites that I often go and search it. And the very interesting thing nowadays is that if I search and listen one or two podcasts, like for example in Spotify, if I listen the software engineering daily, then it starts recommending me that the people of this nature who listens this podcast are listening the other similar podcasts. So that is where I get a lot of recommendations and get the new podcast shows and new videos. It's like an auto feeds. So that is how my learning journey is going. And some of the books that I would recommend, I have a list of books that I have bookmarked, and I strongly recommend, or something like specific to Yuval Noah Harari, the brief history of humans, the Homo sapiens and Homo Deus. I think if we read that, it will give kind of how this digital twin will enable as an enabler for the humankind, so that we will understand. So I strongly recommend that.
Do you think, just on that last point, do you think we'll get to a point where every human will have a digital twin, Vijay? And
yes,
for personalized health, yeah?
That's what I'm seeing. That's what even what keeps me excited. So when I try to learn more about this, the breakthroughs that are happening in the healthcare, the breakthroughs that are happening in the mobility area, it looks like everything are converging. So all the digital products. So going forward, that's what I kind of see. So how I was giving an example of when something happens in my vehicle, before even I came to know, the vehicle will schedule its own maintenance. The same thing. So all the data points of a human, it may be related to the psychology related stuff or human health related stuff. So if I'm aging, if I'm having some diseases, automatically all these monitoring devices will be monitoring me and sending an alert to the healthcare services, and they will be scheduling an appointment, and then I just go and repair myself and come back. So that is how I'm kind of seeing the future will evolve.
Super exciting, super exciting. Vijay, I love this conversation because, you know, in my daily work, I speak to a lot of engineers. They're very used to using simulation. They're less used to using data analytics. But for me, a digital twin is an amazing proof point of these technologies converging together to create better products. And for me, like you've said, the quicker that we can build digital twins at the subcomponent level, at the system level, at the process level, the sooner we'll get to these efficiency savings that both AI and simulation and digital twin and all of these technologies have promised, but actually coming to fruition. So for me, it's very exciting, and it seems for you too, it's very exciting.
Yep. So I'm waiting for that, because as I told you, it's all getting converged, and that the singularity kind of a phase, that's what I'm saying. And a lot of the evolution in technology also has to happen, and I'm waiting for it. Yep.
Amazing. Vijay, thank you so much for joining the show. It's been great to have you, and I'm sure we'll speak again soon. Thanks for watching. Now next up on altair.com/future says will be Mika de Cadillard, adjunct professor of Blair Business School and strategic advisor to IMEC. Hope to see you there.